So just a bit of an introduction for anybody that doesn't know us. Obviously, we're MyPeopleClub. We're an online platform for HR professionals, coaches and trainers. Myself and James run it, and we are growing. We're quite new. Inside MyPeopleClub, we have HR resources, coaching resources, training resources. So loads of documents, templates, trackers, pretty much whatever you could think of. I've been in HR for about 20 years now, so a lot of it's stuff I've built up over the years. Same with James with his coaching and both of our training backgrounds. So we have things like slide decks, icebreakers, case studies to use. We've got loads of stuff on employee psychometrics, communication skills, how to be more assertive, how to go from a manager to a leader, all that sort of stuff. So we've also got things like masterclasses. So outside experts come every month for the members, and they present like a video series, a bit like what we're doing now, sort of PowerPoint and a video and workbooks to go with it, but it's sort of like a series of videos on a particular subject. So we've got ones on all different topics. Halfway through the month, that expert will then do a live Q&A with the members. We've done something similar in the Facebook group the other day with Emma, who from Epion, who's talking to us all about employee benefits. So if you've not seen that, do check it out because it's really good, and there's loads of really good information in there. We've got a business directory. So one of the things, when we started this, one of the things that I found throughout my career was just that I wanted to find everything in one place. So that's what MyPeopleClub is really all about. And for me, as a HR person, I didn't just look after HR, I looked after health and safety, first aid, stationery, and God knows what else. So, you know, I would get asked regularly, oh, can you just find me a health and safety person? Or can you just find me this person? Or I need some hotels to send the directors to. So that's why we've got the directory. So loads of connecting business, not just random ones, but things like hospitality, we've got fleet services, we've got employee benefit platforms, recruitment platforms, all that sort of stuff. So that it's almost like a first port of call for anybody who's looking for a reputable person or business. We've got members discounts, so again, same sort of thing. But we've also got things like bars and restaurants. So we've got places like the Botanist. We've got quite a few branches of those guys. We've got Manchester Oast House. We've got Chester at the Hilton, the restaurant there, the Marco Pierre, I think it's called, and various other ones. So again, you know, in normal circumstances, you could actually make your money back for your monthly membership by socialising and eating out and making use of the discounts. So there's the value there. Anyway, today let's talk about recruitment. So a few, you know, obviously in the times that we're in, a lot of people have unfortunately lost their jobs or are looking to move on, perhaps not happy with the way their current company is dealing with things. So we were asked to do a couple of recruitment sessions. So this week we're going to do it all from the candidate perspective. And next week, we're going to do it from a recruiter perspective. So the things that if you're recruiting, you know what you need to look out for, all that sort of stuff. So today we're going to look at CVs. We're going to look at applying for jobs. We're going to look at prepping for your interview, the interview itself, and follow up. And then anytime, any way through it, if anybody's got any questions, please jump in or put it in the chat and we'll have a chat about it as we go through. So let's crack on. So a good little quote there. I'm very much about positivity and pushing forward. And, you know, if you are unhappy, if you're in a job, then, you know, this is the time to go out, sell yourself, go and find yourself something that you really do want to do. Life's too short to be unhappy, as they say. So although it's a struggle sometimes, we have to find that motivation to move forward. And if we're not happy with things the way they are, to change it. So I do like that little quote there. So today, step one, your CV. So CV, so I've spent years and years and years of recruiting thousands and thousands of people as part of HR. So hopefully I've got some really good tips to share with you. So one of the things is thinking about the layout of your CV. So make sure it's really clear, and I'll kind of mix up this as I go along. So I'm jumping to the bottom point now about keeping to 2 or 3 pages maximum. I've literally had it where I've had 10-page CVs through, and the minute you receive something like that, you just think, oh God, I can't even be bothered reading it, let alone like having to go through 10 pages. And you've also got to think that, particularly for lower end jobs, but actually even for more senior jobs, you can get hundreds of people applying. So if you're a recruiter sat there and, you've set aside a couple of hours to go through all the CVs that have come through, you just don't want to have really long CVs where you've got to really either read it all or skim read, and you're trying to pick out the important points yourself. So my first point is think about your layout. Also, loads of text, so a page of text is really difficult to read, so bullet points is really good. Splitting things up into sections makes it easier for the eye, and to pick out the points. So make sure your layout is clear, make sure the main points stand out. So, things like tailoring your CV to the job that you're applying for. So you might have your basic CV, but you might apply for a few different roles, or, it might be just job titles, or it might be in different sectors. So it's really lazy to send the same CV to everybody, and you're doing that very broad stroke, hoping something will stick. And actually, if you really want that job, you need to really read the job description, and whatever information that they give you. Sometimes you get a job pack, person specs, all that sort of stuff. So really go through it, see what they've put as they really want, or especially if you've got a person spec, you get essential stuff you need to have and desired stuff. So make sure you're speaking to the stuff that they have expressed that they really want in terms of experience or skills or knowledge, or what you can bring to the party, really. So that's really, really important. What I was going to say about layout, yeah, I think the main thing for me is just really making sure that you're talking to their pain points, so what they're looking for, that it's really, really easy to read and pick out the points that correlate to that experience. If you're slightly older, like myself, you're not 20 and only had 2 jobs, you've had quite a few by the time you're sort of 40s, 50s, whatever it might be. So, the stuff you did when you were 16 or 14, like, I was a waitress as one of my first jobs, or a paper round, really isn't applicable to what I'm doing now as a HR director or a business owner or whatever, a consultant. So, make sure that you're not including everything. You don't have to include every single job that you've had along the way, or particularly some of your earlier stuff. Some people say maybe just go back 10 years, before that, is it still really relevant? So ask yourself those questions. And just make sure that, you're keeping, and that's another good way to keep to the 2 or 3 pages as well. So again, sending 3 pages max. I think anything more than that, the recruiter will just get totally bored, won't want to read it if they read it at all, and would probably put it down. I know I probably would think about putting it down if it's any more than 3 pages. The middle one, grammar, we've not really talked about grammar. So some of the stuff that I would see on CVs is quite entertaining, really. So from spelling errors, which again, you kind of think most computers have got spell check now. So it's really off-putting to me if I get CVs with loads of grammar and typos and stuff like that, because again, depending on which type of job they're going for, most jobs do need people to be able to email and write or put things forward in a presentable manner. So unless you're doing a physical job, like maybe like a plumber or electrician or something, where maybe it's not quite so important, but in an office role particularly, you'd want somebody who has good grammar, good way of putting sentences together, all that sort of stuff. So make sure you've got no errors in your CV. Make sure things like your email address, things like that, is a professional one. So don't have things, and again, I've had all this come through. I was telling my partner's daughter the other week, which she thought was quite funny, but you get things through like hotbabe@hotmail.com, or hot chick or something. I think I had once, and you just kind of, again, it's off-putting if they're going for a professional role. So make sure that you've got a professional email address. So standard is just like your name dot surname at whatever, something like that. Again, doesn't put me off, but you don't really need to have your birth dates and stuff like that, or year of birth in your email address. Particularly, like, it's been quite a while now since we've took birthdays off CVs. So you've got your CV ready. Step 2 is about applying for the jobs. So edit your CV accordingly. So we've just talked a bit about this in your CV. And again, when you apply for the jobs, not only do you have to edit your CV to the role, so it's not one size fits all, but then also make sure that you do a covering letter. So I always prefer, you can always tell when between those people who make the extra effort and those that don't when you're a recruiter. So I've recently been helping a company do a lot of recruitment for sort of a team manager role and for a chemist. And you can just tell the ones that have made those extra efforts, that have just dumped the CV through, and, you know, no sort of cover letter or anything. And then those that have really taken the time to write a cover letter and explain why they think they'd be good for the role, what they're looking for, blah, blah, blah. So I would always advise to do a cover letter. And now I know it's a bit of a ball ache and it's a pain to do, but it is worth the extra effort. And as a recruiter, I would always go to those that have made the extra effort. You know, if I've got people of similar experience and I had to pick between the two, I would pick the one that's gone that extra mile and done cover letter, really tailored their CV to what the role is, all that sort of stuff. So it is a pain, it takes time, but it is worth the extra effort. Be professional. So yeah, make sure your email address is something suitable. Make sure, like we said before, there's no typos in your application for a new job, or if you do a cover letter, make sure it's all grammatically correct before it goes off. And only apply once. So one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that I will get the same. So when we advertise these roles, so the ones I've just spoke about, for instance, we'll do one of these jobs packages. So it goes on various different jobs boards, Total Jobs, Monster, you know, Indeed, various others. I've gone blank now, but there's 5 or 6 jobs boards that it goes to. And then what will happen is that we'll get the same candidates coming through from every single jobs board. So they're applying for the same role. Now, some people might say, yeah, okay, they just really want to make sure you get it, and I totally get that. But then also sometimes I think, like, do they remember that they've applied for that job, or are they just sending out loads and loads, especially for lower end roles, admin roles, as one of this was? You know, you just think, are they just applying for everything in an admin role? And actually they can't even remember that they've applied for this job already, even though it's got the company name, all that kind of stuff on it. And again, I personally find that a little bit off-putting when I've literally had like 5 different applications, and also it chokes up your inbox. So, you know, when you are literally getting hundreds of candidates through, if you're getting 5 for every person, you know, you've gone from 100 to 500 straight away, you know, so it's another time-consuming thing for the recruiter to have to do. So think about whether that's the best thing to do. So you've applied for your job, you've got the interview, so let's have a little bit of a look at what we're going to do in terms of preparing for that interview. So, and I should just say, we're just flying through this really quickly because this is a short, sharp, half-an-hour session on preparing and, you know, going through the recruitment process. But if anyone wants any more information in more detail, then obviously we can help you with that. So let us know. Preparation is the key when you're going for an interview. So before the interview, and whether that's a telephone interview, so again, this company that I've worked with recently, we've been doing the first stage as a video interview. So a bit like, you know, now obviously we'd be interactive, but we'd have the first stage as a video telephone interview, and then the next stage would be going in to see the company in normal circumstances, although that's postponed for the moment. But, you know, even on some of those video calls, I'll get on some of the calls and they haven't looked at the website and they don't really know anything about the company. And again, as a recruiter, that's just a massive turn off, because again, how badly do they want this job that they've not even bothered to go onto the internet or have a look around about the company? So before your interview, whether it's a phone interview or whether it's a face-to-face interview, make sure you do a little bit of research about the company, find out what they're all about, what exactly they do, you know, find out maybe what their values are and their ethos. You know, is that something that fits with yourself? Because, you know, that would be a big part of whether you're going to enjoy being at that company if you're successful. Do things like preparing some questions. So if they've got, you know, If they're a fast-growing company, you might want to ask a few questions about where they see themselves in a couple of years. You know, are they expanding? Do they see themselves expanding the team? Are there going to be promotional opportunities if you're somebody who's quite ambitious and wants to grow and sort of go through the ranks? So all those things, you know, are they in place? Try to speak to their pain points. So again, you know, they've put this role out. They're obviously looking for somebody. So, you know, as a HR, if they advertise for HR manager, for example, you know, and I was applying for that role, you know, is there a team in place? You know, what are the expectations? Who do they report to? You know, or who does the HR manager report to? You know, what sorts of reporting and outputs would you expect from me? So there's loads and loads of questions, and I wouldn't advise having hundreds of questions, but you know, because that can be a little bit off-putting as well. But have a few key, really good questions that shows you've put a little bit of thought into things, and you know, that in itself will impress people. I'm always impressed by people who prepare. You might have to prepare presentations, you know, particularly as you get to more senior roles. I know, like when I did my HR director, there was like 3 interviews, and you know, I had to do presentations and all sorts of things as I went through. So if you get more senior, you might have to do more presentations and stuff anyway, which again will help showcase your skills. So, and things like be prepared. So, you know, it sounds really stupid, but the more calm and the more organized you are, ready for the day, the more confident you will feel. So if you know you're going to an interview tomorrow, don't just wait till the morning and throw on any old thing, you know, or be like, oh God, that shirt's not ironed, I need to go and iron it, blah, blah, blah. You know, it just stresses you out, and then you'll be in a stressed out mood, ready for your interview. Make sure you get ready the night before. So you lay out your clothes, you know, the night before. A lot of really high powered people always do this. They have all the preparation, so in the morning just get up, get showered, get dressed, it's all there, it's all done, it's all organized, the bag by the door ready to go. You know, if you need to take the laptop, equipment, whatever it might be, it's all there ready to go. You're not running around the house searching for it, trying to get it out of the dog's mouth like I would be. You know, so you're ready to go and you're prepared and you're calm, and that will stand you in good stead ready for your interview. So, talking about the interview, we shall move on to that stage. So, be calm, clear and concise. So one of the really good tricks I was once taught is always make sure, even if you don't particularly want a drink, because you know a good interviewer will always ask if you want a drink, always get a glass of water. Because if they ask you a question that you perhaps need to think about a little bit, and you can't instantly respond, you can take a sip of that glass of water and you can have a bit of a think whilst you're drinking. And then by the time you put your glass down, then you're ready to answer the question. So always ask for, you know, a glass of water at least. And also sometimes, you know, you get dry mouth or whatever if you're doing a lot of talking, so it's always handy to have anyway. Make sure you're clear and concise. So it's really easy when you're nervous to waffle or to completely go off the subject. And oh my God, I have been in some interviews where, you know, we were due maybe 45 minutes and it's literally gone on an hour and a half to nearly 2 hours because they've talked and talked and talked. And I'm actually quite good at trying to bring people back and to say, oh, we're running a little short on time, so we'll just move on to the next question, and trying to give hints, you know, that perhaps they need to shorten their answers a little bit. But some people just don't take the hint. So, and again, it's quite off-putting for a recruiter. So make sure when you're in the interview room that you're answering the question that's being asked of you. It's okay to give a little bit of additional information or whatever if you think that will showcase your background, your skills, whatever it might be, in a little bit more detail. But don't go completely off on a tangent. By the time you finish talking, they've forgot what the original question was, and you know, as a recruiter, you're just thinking, oh my God, get on with it, kind of thing. So just be mindful of that. Body language, and again, you know, some of the basic stuff, and a lot of stuff we talk about, like in all of our lunchtime learns, it's really easy, simple stuff, but it's all the stuff that people forget, or don't think it's important, or they're not that practice stuff. So, you know, don't slouch, make sure you stand up straight, you know, you've got straight posture, your open body language, you know, you're not all shut off and hunched up and all that sort of stuff. You know, if you're presenting, make sure you sort of command the room, you know, you're sort of confident even if you don't feel it. and that you look like that. If you look dead shy and meek and sort of, you know, introvert, then that's not the greatest of looks. So something you can practice as well. You know, if you do have a presentation, do it in front of your partner or kids or whoever it might be, a friend, and practice. You know, when I first started doing presentations, I really did practice before I did the presentation. Communication. So make sure you take cues from the interviewer. So if the interviewer is giving you hints like, oh, we're just a bit short on time or whatever, then that's kind of a cue to hurry up or answer the question or whatever. You know, if they look a little bit confused, just ask them, did I answer that in enough detail? Would you like me to clarify anything? So there's lots of cues. So even though you're talking, and again, until you've practiced this, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming or a little bit hard to do everything at the same time. As you're talking, you should also be watching the interviewers, their faces, their body language. You know, are they responding to you? Are they smiling? Are they laughing at potentially something you've said? Do they seem quite engaged with you? If not, how can you make yourself be more engaged with them? Or are they looking a bit like, you know, a bit of a frown, like as if they've just, you know, not understood what you've said, or perhaps looking like, oh, that wasn't quite the right answer, or you hadn't explained it enough. So again, with those cues, that if you see something like that, just, you know, ask if they understood or if you can explain it in a bit more detail, all that sort of stuff. So lots of things to think about. Try and show a little bit of personality as well. So got to be a bit careful with this, because like I say, you don't want to go off on a tangent, but also equally people don't want a robot sat in front of them. So it's not just like ask a question, answer, that's it. You know, you've got to show a little bit of personality. You've got to show that you're a really cool person, and actually this company should really want you working at that company. You know, you're charismatic, you know what you're doing, you've got a little bit of personality, you can have a bit of a laugh, you know, all that sort of stuff. So, you know, whatever you can do to try and show a little bit of personality without going completely off the subject or whatever it might be, then you know, maybe think about doing that as well. The last step is to follow up. So again, you've had your interview, or maybe it's your second interview or your third interview, depending on, you know, what role it is and how many stages there are. But don't forget to follow up. So if you're doing it through an agency, for example, you might want to give them a ring as you come out of the interview on your way home, if you're hands-free, or when you get home, and just sort of give a bit of feedback, whether you really like the sound of the company and the people that you spoke to, all that sort of stuff. If it's a direct role, you might want to just drop them an email and say, oh, I really enjoyed meeting with you. And again, you know, it's just those simple little touches. But actually, as a recruiter, if somebody did that after their interview and was like, oh, you know, without being too pushy or whatever, but just saying, oh, I really enjoyed meeting you, you know, it was great to hear a bit about the company. I was really excited about what you said about blah, blah, blah. Look forward to hearing from you in due course. Then, you know, you're not sort of asking those questions where as a recruiter I've got to respond, or, you know, you're being pushy about the next stage, whatever. But it's just nice to say, oh, actually they obviously did enjoy it and they're still interested, which is always good to know. So try and follow up with people, and certainly if after a few days you've not heard anything, then definitely follow up and see what the score is. So we've done the first one, being proactive. Follow up again after a few days if you've not heard anything, you know, or if they've not given you any timescales, then, you know, there's nothing wrong. Like I say, don't do it every day, or maybe even every other day, maybe sort of 3 or 4 days down the line. If you've not heard anything, follow up. And if you're not successful, you know, it's disappointing, yes, but just learn from it. So always ask for feedback. So, and again, I get the odd people that ask for feedback, but most people are probably a little bit hurt and a bit sad that they've not been successful. So, you know, they don't tend to ask for feedback. But, you know, as disappointing as being rejected is, you know, it is a learning curve, and actually maybe that role wasn't the one for you, but maybe you could learn something. You know, maybe, like I know I say quite a lot, so, you know, there's knowing where perhaps you could do a little bit better and trying to improve those things. You know, maybe your presenting skills weren't that great, maybe you were somebody who talks quite a lot, and actually you really need to learn how to hone down your interview skills. So you know, always ask for feedback, even though, you know, sometimes it sucks to ask for feedback when you've not been successful, but, you know, try and learn from it, so that when you get another interview, then you'll absolutely nail it. Sometimes it just might be that your experience isn't the right sector or whatever, or it isn't quite enough for the role that you've done. So again, you know, and we've just talked about this in other lunchtime learns, it's all about resilience, it's all about bouncing back, it's all about how you deal with the sort of lumps and bumps in the road, and then sort of, you know, pick yourself up and carry on. So ask for feedback after an interview. So that's a very quick overview from a candidate's point of view of recruitment. So like I say, next week we will talk from a recruiter's point of view and the things that you need to put in place and talk about before you actually go and do a recruitment process. So hope you've enjoyed that, and we will be sharing the replay in the group and on the YouTube channel. But in terms of lumps and bumps in the road, because we've done a few sessions on various things on resilience and communication skills and various other things, and people were finding that really, really useful. So we've put a little mini course together, which is something similar to this. It's our audio over some slides. Like I say, there's it's broken down into 5 modules. There's a 74-page workbook with loads of exercises for you to do. And again, you know, it's about thriving in challenging times, but it actually can be applied to anything in life. You know, just life in general is challenging, isn't it? We all have our lumps and bumps, whether it's with family, jobs, friends, and it's just some exercises and some techniques and some tools to help you keep moving forward. I do a lot of work on with coaching, and you know, I spend a lot of time reading some of the high performing coaches in the world and all that sort of stuff, and we've learned a lot of things along the way in our 40 years of coaching and training. So we've put some stuff into a little mini course because people had asked for it, and that will be available on Friday, so keep a lookout in the group for that. And that's it really for today. So obviously, if you want to get in touch with us, you can drop us a message on Facebook, or our email address is there, website is there. We've still got, I think, about 4 or 5 places left on the offer we put out. So it's $39.99 for anyone who wants to join my People Club. Thank you, Susan, for the thumbs up. Yeah, anybody who joins at the moment will keep that price for life. It was meant to go up to $59.99 after a couple of months. We are keeping it at $39.99 for a few more months, just until we get to the other side of COVID. So it helps people out, but then it will go up, and then it'll go up again in the future as the platform grows. And we've got loads of exciting content to put on there, more courses. We are speaking to people about getting some of the content accredited. So if you are in professional development, it'll count towards your hours. So we're in the process of doing all that as well. So some really good stuff coming up. So I hope you've really enjoyed it. If you have, you know, one of the things for My People Club, because we are a new business, is getting out there. So if you could let other people know about us, share our stuff, like our stuff, comment on our stuff, we would be so grateful, because we do really want to grow. Perfect. Right, that's it for today, and we will see you in the next Lunchtime Learn, which will be next Thursday at 12 o'clock. Brilliant. All right, thanks guys. See you later.